From the schoolyard to the conservation area, impact investment across the nature-social divide, an Antipode video abstract by Dan Cohen and Emily Rosenman. Impact investing is the proposition that financial products can be the solution to the many ecological, environmental, and social crises that are deepening across the globe. We use the tools of critical geography to analyze what makes it possible for investors, governments, and private enterprise to claim to be able to solve social and environmental problems while also making a profit. What we find is that these financial products are not value neutral. Instead, they influence how investors, governments, and different publics understand what is a good solution for people and environments, as well as the types of interventions that should be made. Impact investing is based in the idea that markets are the most efficient and effective way of solving social and environmental problems, and that investors can do good and make a profit at the same time. Although this claim is not new, its influence, in volume of cash flows and in policy, has grown exponentially since the early 2000s. In the paper, we conceptualize impact investing as a way that the financial industry, with the support of intermediaries, governments, and state institutions, maintains the very system that created the social and environmental crises it claims to solve. By attempting to reform the way that capital and resources are allocated within a for-profit financial system, impact investing repositions finance from the cause of social and environmental crises to the solution to these crises, a solution that is applicable across any problem, from a lack of affordable housing in California to deforestation in Indonesia. In this paper, we propose that those studying the effects of impact investing orient around a common framework that examines the similarities in how impact investments operate across social and environmental systems. First, asking how social and environmental crises are framed as problems that finance can solve. And second, asking how this affects the way social and environmental problems are defined, as well as the values embedded in proposed solutions. At the core are what may sound like odd questions. What is the social? What is nature? While we often take these things for granted, there is really no fixed understanding of what they mean. Instead, they are political questions. For example, for investors profiting from energy extraction, nature is a resource to be tapped and exploited. But for an ecotourism company, nature is something to be protected, even while it was monetized. This means the answers to these questions, and who is doing the answering, have important effects on what is prioritized in social policy, or what environmental restoration looks like and where. And under impact investing, the answers depend on which places and people are the most valuable for finance to invest in repairing. As scholars of social policy, we use schooling and housing as empirical examples to examine how impact investing shapes the definition of social problems, as well as what interventions are made in addressing these problems. As an example, one of our cases in the paper looks at impact investing in K-12 schooling in the United States, particularly the issuance of municipal bonds for charter schools. Charter schools, unlike a traditional school district, raise money on the basis of an estimated future income of an individual school or small network of schools. This differs from public school districts, which raise money for an entire district based on property taxes. With charter schools, financial investors are brought into close relationship with the actual practice of schooling, as investors attempt to determine which schools will be able to bring in students and therefore income. These evaluations are often based on metrics like standardized test scores, which are highly controversial among educators, but popular among investors and the big philanthropic organizations which de-risk private investments with their grants. Each of our cases illustrates how the social goals of policy are shaped by what is understood as a good financial investment. These investments prioritize metrics that are easily understood through financial benchmarking. In the paper, we discuss how this narrows what is possible to what is easily measured and where. Interest rates can go up or down with test scores, but the role of schooling or housing in anchoring a community has no corresponding financial value. As the field of impact investing grows, So do its varieties. While our paper considers some of its most influential forms, backed by institutional investors and large capital flows, there are other forms that share power more equally between investors and impacted communities. The political question of what the social is, what nature is, and what we imagine they should be is therefore one that is constantly changing. Our paper responds to the many forms of impact investing by calling for a critical understanding of investments that make the claim of social and environmental good. This means asking not just how these financial innovations work, but whose interests are ultimately served through financialized understandings of what constitutes social or environmental progress, and how these understandings are embedded into the way impact investing happens. Rather than making social and environmental metrics interchangeable through financial benchmarking, we are inspired by many contemporary activists that connect social and environmental systems in their calls for social and climate justice. We hope to spur conversations in research and practice about finance's power over social and environmental futures. Please get in touch if you'd like to continue this conversation with us.